right, guys, welcome aboard for the first flight of the virtual flight deck here for 2025. We'll go ahead and bring up the crew. Look who is in the house. I tell you what, it's going to be a great night because we have the always incredible CST Gaming. CST, welcome, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Major Mark is here. Of course, Mickety Mike and the nearly famous and always amazing Al's FS in the house are on board. Let's say that way. And tonight, we're welcoming a very special guest, new to the virtual flight deck here this evening. But Wrong Side Simulations is joining us tonight. Wrong Side, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you in here. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about real world stuff. We'll get a full introduction of you here in just a minute. Mike is here. Mike, where are you in your flight right now? What's going on?
My sim crashed.
I was going to say better that in the airplane, but oh no, that was your long haul, man. I am so sorry. God.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let y'all start the show. Could let my blood pressure come down just a little bit.
Probably not a bad idea. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, man. 5 hours in, it was. I don't know. I'm having some technical issues behind the scenes with the simulator and with OBS and the computer. I don't know if I have to bring my computer into the shop or if OBS is the issue or whatever. But
Right.
I'm here.
Okay. Well, we're glad to see you, man. Glad to see you, my friend. It's always good to get together for these and the first one of the year.
Appreciate
betcha. CST Gaming is on board, and man, it is so good to see you. How you doing?
Fantastic.
That's
We're
good.
doing great, man.
Yeah.
Glad to be back here. Took a long break, but yeah, we're trying to get back in the swing of things. So
Right on.
my guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Mr. Major Mark is on board and sitting in the pilot's seat there. How you doing, Mark? What's happening?
Doing good, man. Good doing.
Good deal. And of course, not last and certainly not least, but Al's FS, young man extraordinaire. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. Just flew into that Atlanta event, and I'm happy.
Right on. Yeah, you'll have to tell us a little bit about that. It's kind of a crowded Friday night in hot Atlanta, Georgia, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, let's go ahead and introduce our special guest, and who knows, maybe he'll have such a good time he'll want to come back and be part of the panel here. Mr. Wrong Side Simulations, first time here on the virtual flight deck. Now, Wrong Side has been flight simming since 2009. Streaming 4 years. You're up to a pretty good count too there in your subscriptions, Wrong Side. That's really awesome. Good for you. Started your aviation career in the real world working ground ops in 2010. 5 years later, started your career in flight dispatch with Trans-States Airlines. Now, you'll have to tell us a little bit more about that. I have not heard of that one. That's a new one for me. You spent 2 years with them. You moved on to your current company, dispatched 5 years there, then 2 years as dispatch manager. 4 months ago, you were promoted to operations control manager. Good for you. Total of 14 years in Part 121 aviation industry. You've created 12 flight dispatchers through your YouTube channel and podcast. Even better. Good evening, sir. Welcome. Tell us a little more about yourself there.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, I started my my whole aviation career in ground operations back in 2010, doing all of the above and below wing functions for Delta Airlines in my little hometown airport of Monroe, Louisiana. Kilo Mike Lima uniform for those of y'all who've never heard of it, because most of you probably never have. But did that for 5 years, and the whole goal was to become a pilot. I wanted to do something where I could be in touch with airline pilots and ask technical questions. I had recently started flight simming just prior to starting that job, and so it gave me the opportunity to ask pilots, how do you shoot an ILS, and how do you do this, how do you do that? So a lot of good learning and experience there. Made a lot of good friends, and unfortunately, the flying thing didn't work out. We can get into that a little bit more later on, but that ended up ultimately leading me to my dispatch license and got a job with Trans-States Airlines. Trans-States was a regional carrier for American and United, and shortly after I left, Yeah, about a few years after I left, whenever COVID hit, they went belly up. So rest in peace.
Yeah.
And then I went on to my current company, which is I like to call Banana Land, fly those banana airplanes, and dispatched there for 5 years, and got lots of great experience and take a lot of pride in my product. And it's very rewarding when you make the right calls as a dispatcher, having that that eye in the sky and able to communicate with the pilots and get the plane on the ground, especially when you're like drag racing, a line of thunderstorms or something like that. So got pretty good at that, and ultimately got promoted to dispatch manager, and took that role with the entire goal of making the flight dispatch department better for the dispatchers, to handle things on the back end so that on the front end for them, they could do their job better and serve our guests in a better way. And then recently, after some restructuring and whatnot, got promoted into operation control manager, which is a hybrid position of the dispatch manager and what we used to have was called an ops manager. So the ops manager was kind of more the commercial decision maker, making the final decision on canceling flights, as well as like doing any like media inquiries, anything that's gone down where we need to approve media statements, lots of logistical decisions, stuff like that. Kind of the top ruler, if you will, in the operation. And so I'll handle that as well as my former functions as a dispatch manager.
So
And,
I
here we
guess too. Actually, I have heard of Monroe, Louisiana. I'm a Southern boy too. I'm originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee, so not too far up the road from you there. As a dispatcher too, I imagine that you're going to work hand in hand with ATC and other controllers and all that. How does that go together with what you do?
Yeah, so it all starts in the flight planning process. And so as a dispatcher, obviously you're going to analyze any of the constraints that your flight may be facing. A dispatcher can plan anywhere between, and it's all very shift dependent, but it can be planned anywhere from 15 flights up to roughly 40 flights, depending on the shift. So you'll go through when you're planning a flight. You're going to look at reroutes that ATC will publish for whatever constraints. It can be volume, it can be weather, it can be a rocket launch, it could be a bunch of different things. So the dispatcher should find those published reroutes, plan those published reroutes accordingly, and then we're going to file the flight plan with ATC. Sometimes when things don't work out, so we need to reroute for whatever case, we can call up ATC and tell them we need to pull the strip, we need to refile, or we can ask them to make whatever changes that we need to make. And ultimately, that's going to be pretty much the extent for the dispatcher as far as how much like communication they're with ATC. We also have air traffic control coordinators who will liaise between the air traffic control command center in, I believe it's in Oklahoma City, and with what's going on in the operation. So if the command center is identifying significant constraints, whether it's weather, volume, etc., that will go to the coordinator, and then the coordinator will also relay that information to the dispatchers. And then when also there are ATC say like flow control areas or ground delay programs, ground stops, that kind of stuff, anything that causes ATC delays, the ATC coordinator will flow out, aka delay the flights in the system, and then that will reflect on the dispatcher's flight on their desk, and they'll see that and be able to sometimes I got to make some changes, say if that delay is now going to put us into like a weather critical situation, maybe now they need to go reassess that flight plan and maybe add an alternate, add some fuel, that kind of stuff. So we work a little bit with ATC, but the ATC coordinator will be doing the bulk of the ATC stuff.
And I imagine too that you're right there in the thick of things at the airport and are watching and being aware of everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
What does your where's your office located, and what are you watching in particular to accomplish your job every day?
Sure. So my airline is actually the only major carrier in the United States that has 2 offices. We've got one in Danya Beach down in South Florida, and then we got another one in Orlando. That's for hurricane redundancy. So when a hurricane rolls in, if it affects one location, then we can keep the operation going for the other location. Now, if both are affected, then we will reposition flights with employees on board up to our backup location in Detroit and our hangar, and we'll keep the operation going from there. So I am based in Orlando. I did 2 years down in South Florida It's like prison to me. I would never go back. I hated South Florida. No offense to any South Floridians that might be listening. Yeah, so we're based in Orlando, and we'll be looking at lots of different things. At least for me, in my role in management, we have a piece of software called Movement Manager. It's basically it'll display every flight as a block, and each block it'll be as long as the flight is, and you can go into that block and you can find all the details. It'll display delays, but basically what you're looking at is how all the flying is lining up for that aircraft throughout its day. And we've got a little over 200 aircraft in our fleet. So I'll be going through and looking for any delays that might pose further problems for that aircraft's line of flying. And once I identify that issue, then I'll take it to my shift coordinators, who are the logistical experts. And then they'll go find whether it's a tail swap, or maybe they need to get a new crew, or whatever the logistical solution is. If there is one, they'll handle that. But as far as like identifying constraints, we got software that's going to show us the weather, going to show us traffic volume. There's in all honesty, at least on my desk when I get set up, I've got about 76 tabs of internet opened up.
Right.
So everything that we do is very data driven, and there's lots and lots of sources to find what it is that you're looking for.
Sure. Sounds like a wonderful, fascinating job each and every day. And I want to ask the other guys on our panel here. Mike, you've known Wrong Way for a while. You may have some questions and some things that you'd like to ask and say here. Go ahead. You're up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've known Wrong Side for, it's been a little over a year now, yeah? Something like that. And I had the pleasure of meeting him at the expo and hanging out with him for a bit. Actually, Wrong Side has been giving me some advice on how to become a flight's dispatcher. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it just yet, because just not in the realm of possibility for me right now. So I might be number 13 on his list of content creators that he's made into dispatchers. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the job looks incredibly interesting, and be able to work into the aviation industry for those that can't achieve becoming a pilot, due to financial reasons or whatever. I think dispatching is probably the next best thing, next to air traffic control, obviously. But even air traffic control is just incredibly difficult to become certified to do, and let alone find a job at a major airport. So.
Oh, Mike froze up there.
Good point, Mike. Yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
Oh no, we've got a frozen mic.
This is the mic. This is the mic I like right there. I love this mic.
Oh well, we'll see if we can get it back here. CST, go ahead. Why don't you pick up the pace here? And
this is actually the first time I meet Wrong Way. Wrong. No, I'm just playing. I've known Wrong Side for a little bit now. As a matter of fact, I did a one-on-one with him on my channel, podcast style type deal. So,
all right,
few months ago, and we went through all the same kind of stuff. Talk about dispatching, flight simming, what you ate, what you like, what you detest, and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's definitely good to see you back here, and we need to catch up more often there, Blake.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it's that is one thing that does kind of suck with kind of moving up in the ranks a little bit at work, is life just gets a lot busier, get a lot more responsibilities. When I was a dispatch manager, I couldn't necessarily leave work at work, but I didn't have to be watching emails all the time. I didn't have as many meetings. Now in this role, you have to have one foot in the operation at all times, even on your days off. You still have to know what's going on. I think we got a couple named winter storms that are coming up. That's going to be very significant for us. It's going to impact Texas pretty heavily. So I got to continue paying attention to that. I've got mandatory meetings where we're discussing, lots of different operational issues, stuff like that. So I get a lot busier, and it gives a lot less time for streaming, which I hate. But
real life, real world.
Exactly. Yeah, it comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But I just started a new schedule, so I'm hoping maybe this schedule will allow for a little bit more screaming.
I tell you what, I talked to wrong side, before the one-on-one that we did, and in the military, that's pretty much what I did. It's pretty much the same job as a civilian, but it's a military counterpart. Managed control soup job where you deal with everything that has to do with scheduling, assigning up partial or down aircraft to the maintenance cycle, all that good stuff, assigning, air crew to aircraft to fulfill the mission and all that good nonsense, when in balance, maintenance schedule. I mean, you name it. That's pretty much what we did. So in a way, I kind of understand where he's coming from. And I will tell you that if he was to tell me, hey, man, I got a job for you dispatching as a civilian now, I'll be like, nope, thanks. I've already been there, done that, and I don't want to do it again, man. There's a lot of stuff that goes with it, man, and it's very stressful. It's a fulfilling job. I'm thinking the civilian counterpart, as is the military. It's a very fulfilling job, and especially when because you see the end result, right? For us, we meet the mission, right? For them, they meet the schedule. They deliver people from point A to point B in a safely fashion and all that good stuff. So I can see where that is. But like I said, after having done 15 plus years of that stuff in the military, no, I applaud you, but that's not a job that I'm willing to do on the civilian side, if you know what I mean. I kind of retired, got that weight off my shoulder. And like you said, dude, once you get to a certain position in the food chain and you're like towards the top of the pyramid, right? Because there's always going to be somebody above you in the dispatch world, right? But once you get to that top job, literally your phone is going off 24/7. It could be the middle of the night. You're the man. You're the guy. They're gonna call you if there's issues. Something is not right. Something is going on. They're calling you. Be like, what the hell is going on? So I can appreciate what he's been talking about.
That's one thing I think that's very important. So many people don't realize what's going on behind the scenes in the real world to get us from point A to point B. There's so many things going on. And I figured that we could touch on some of those and, make people maybe a little more aware that's watching the YouTube podcast here. Mike, I see you're back. Did you have a crash, another crash there, buddy?
Yeah, OBS crashed.
Oh, no.
But I'm back.
Okay, good. You were kind of stopped mid-sentence there. Do you want to jump back in?
To be honest, I don't even remember what I was saying.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll run on down the line here and come back to you, and then we'll talk about just some things in general with flight simulation. So, Al's, good evening. Let's see what you got going on. You want to ask Wrong Side some questions there?
Yeah. What's going on? I've known Wrong Side for a while too. I think probably think over a year now too. And me and Wrong Side actually, I don't know what month, but for this year actually, World Flight, we're gonna be part of Cali crew together, so he'll be teaching me the ropes.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't really have any questions for him, but very excited about that thing next year. He's got to teach me some Airbus stuff too, because we got this MiG-Do now. It's time to get serious.
Oh yeah, man, I'll teach you some Airbus.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that at length here in just a little bit too. Let me say hello to some people in the chat. Yoham is here. Noah stopped by. Beanie Baby Gaming is along. Aviation Shagovic Visith Long is here. Value is in, and Lotto just touched into the chat. Sure would appreciate you hitting that like button, guys. My buddy Graham up in Scotland. Dominic is here from a little bit earlier in the chat. Josh, Callie Simmer, Plain Nuts. Appreciate all you guys getting here. My buddy Casey from back in the K-Love Network Operations Center in Nashville. Good to see you guys coming in here. Jacob Jamerson is aboard. FO Pilot Depth, that's a new one. Hey, Kills My Skills stopped by. Kills, good to see you, my friend Mo Aviator. Thanks, guys, for stopping in tonight. Major Mark is also on board. And, Mark, good to see you. How's the streaming going, and what's happening in your world?
Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing? So streaming is kind of dead right now. Has a couple issues with my personal job, but working on that. So we should get back to doing some streams over the weekend here, probably toward the end of the month or beginning of February. But to Ron's side, I applaud him for his job because I've seen it firsthand in combat, dealing with a combat dispatcher in combat, delivering A-10s and everything for us in the Army, making sure that we didn't get killed and we killed the right person. So, a job I don't wish on anybody because you get it wrong once, that's it's over for everybody. So, um, if anybody's looking into getting a dispatch, wrong side is the guy to get into. I think we briefly talked once down in Houston during Expo. I don't think I think we talked in Vegas too.
Mhm.
I don't remember, but it was a while. So, but yeah, been on wrong side for about 2 years now. So, good guy. If you need any knowledge on how to get into, dispatching, this has got to go to.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
absolutely. That's one thing that I think that these podcasts and broadcasts can be very useful for is for new people to get to know other people who know people and who can maybe help advance somebody's career or somebody's dreams and aspirations. So, wrong side, hats off to you for that. Let's talk a little bit. I'm looking at your setup there in the camera, and I'm going to go ahead and make it full screen here. It looks like you have quite an Airbus setup there that doesn't look ordinary. Tell us a little bit about what you got there.
Yeah, it's not. That has been one of the perks of moving into management. I sacrifice my time, but I make a little more money, and my little more money goes to my hobby.
Yeah.
I think I've spent probably, don't tell my woman this, but I think I've spent probably 10 times as much as I did on her ring. So
no, let's edit that part out in case she watches later. Right?
Yeah, so next to me on my left leg, 'cause as we all know, I fly on the wrong side of the airplane, the right seat. We've got the FS Projects Airbus throttle. I'm sorry, Flight Sim PM FS throttle. It's roughly a 1-to-1. Everything works as it should with all the detents and that kind of stuff. Also have a little radio panel next to me. I got off of Etsy. Works really well. On my right leg, I've got a 1-to-1 FS Project side stick and the Cat 3 Designs 1-to-1 Airbus tiller. Got the whole WinWing FCU and EFIS set up on my desk. And as of last night, we're going to be adding the 320, 737, and 777
Wow.
Units to the setup as well. Also got a little landing gear lever, a little Airbus landing gear lever that you pull it out and lift it up and stow it back in next to my left knee. Yeah, I've kind of got it to a good point where usually I don't have to use a mouse very much, and that's kind of what I wanted to get to.
That is really outstanding. Speaking of that, as we all know, WinWings just this week, just yesterday, crashed the entire world by releasing the McDo and the Boeing flight management computer and everything there. So let's talk about that a little bit and see what everybody has to say. Mello has done an absolutely wonderful unboxing and demo of it, and I'm going to put that link up in the chat here in just a moment. I want you guys to make sure to check that out. But let's go around the horn here and see what everybody thinks about that. And then I'll tell you what I think about it, and I'll show you a couple of possible alternatives just in case they're needed. So CST, let's get you in here and talk about what you think about the new WinWings product.
Well, as of right now, I got to tell you, it's almost like these people pay me to say what I say, right? But they don't. I can promise you, they don't pay me. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just, I think I'm just lucky enough to be able to work with them, and they send me products for me to be able to review, showcase, and show it off out there on YouTube for the 2.5 viewers that I have. But yeah, like I said, I'm humble and I feel privileged enough to be able to work with WinWing. The one thing I'll tell you, everything that I have side stick, I have the EFS FCU. I now switched from Thrustmaster to the WinWing Orion pedals. I gotta say, I like them more than the Thrustmasters. Call me crazy, but the dampening shock that's on it, the ability to be able to take the spring off and use it with a helicopter, because as you all know, the helicopter does not have return to center, so that is true to life experience there. The toe brakes feel much better to me. It's almost like they're on depth and rather than spring loaded type deal. So, and again, it goes with everything else, right? To me, when I look at some stuff, even if I buy an expensive $600, $700, $800 FMC, and in my humble opinion, everything has a shelf life, right? Everything sooner or later, it's either going to degrade, it's going to fail, it's going to stop working, right? Whatever the case is, whether it's a Wing $130 FCU or MIGDU, or a Scholarkey $600 MIGDU. At the end of the day, everything is alive, right? Everything is bound to either stop working, a push button may get stuck. It's gonna happen, right? The only thing that we don't know as of now, by looking at stuff, by touching it, by feeling it, by using it, I can tell you it's a great quality product, right? Everything that I've touched so far is great quality. That's being put out by Wing. The only thing that we don't know with Wing buys other companies that have been out there for numerous years, even close to decades, right? When you're talking about Scholarkey and a lot of the stuff that Wrong Side has on his setup has been around for a few years, right? So people know that this thing's last a long time, or people know that this thing might break after 2 weeks. They already know that lifespan. That's something that we don't know with Wing yet, right? Because it's a fairly new company that's been around since last year or a couple of years now. When we're talking airliners, they've been around a lot longer with other products for the jet fighting community, DCS, and all that good stuff. And I've heard nothing negative regarding those products. So I can't foresee anything negative regarding the airliner aspect of everything that they're making so far. So, like I said, everything feels great. Everything is a click and positive click with buttons and knobs and you name it. So I couldn't be happier with these products. And I cannot not recommend it to anybody that wants to ask me for my personal opinion. I say jump on it. It's $130 and it's unheard of. You cannot anywhere get a MIGDU for $130. And not only that, the One Plus that, let's talk about the MIGDU and the FMC, or they call it PFP due to licensing, I think.
Yeah.
But the plus side about these things is a USB-C. That's all you need, ladies and gentlemen. It's green right here, obviously. That's why you've seen through it. But literally a USB-C. You plug it in, you run the SIM app in the background, and you're done. Any other product of the competition, you need a power source, you need a USB, and you need a HDMI cable dedicated to that unit, right? And then you got to pop out the gauge or the screen from the aircraft itself. You got to drag it into your little monitor of the FMC, and that's taking up resource. It's degrading your FPS, so on and so forth, right? So again, it's almost like I work at Wing, but I don't, right? I couldn't recommend these things enough. The price point is amazing. The products seem to be built well, and like anything else, like I said before, everything is a shelf life, but it all goes to on how well you take care of the stuff, right? So if you take care of the stuff, it's probably going to last you a long time. And having said that, I would like Wing to go ahead and send the check right away. And I'm done.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, how about you? Now, I know Al's has it. I'm not sure if have you seen them yet? What's going on with you on that?
Well, I'm newly partnered with Winwing. Obviously, I spoke with Winwing and their representatives at the expo last year, and they were nice enough to provide me with one of their airliner side sticks to bring home and review, which I absolutely fell in love with, and I've used it every day since. My Thrustmaster TCA is in its box again. Keeping it as a backup just in case, because as CST know, we don't know what Winwing's shelf life is like with these products. However, like I said, I'm newly partnered with Winwing. I just partnered with them, I think, towards the last couple of weeks of December. However, for whatever reason, the products that I want to review have not been sent out. So I've been in contact with them about reviewing them, and they confirmed that they will be sending them. However, they said there's going to be some delay for me for whatever reason. So I might not be receiving the products until the end of this month or mid-February, something like that, I'd assume. Okay. I reached out to their marketing team to see if there's any updates to that, because I haven't heard from them in about a week. But in reference to the other products that I have from Winwing, with the side stick, which was provided to me by Winwing, the FCU that I use, that is something that I purchased because I wasn't partnered with them at the time. I will attest to what CST was saying. And all of us here were at the expo at WinWing's booth. And when we saw these things just laying on the display and the price point below it, we were like, there's no way this thing's $130. There's no way. Because every other product that is similar to what was been produced by this company is upwards between $500 and $1,000 between those price points. And as CST said, they're unbelievably complicated to get set up and configured to work within the simulator and the aircraft that you are flying specifically. The WinWings are plug and play. Plug it in, run your SimApp Pro, and everything's running. You know, it like to the extent with the Phoenix, to where you can even go into the ATSU page of the Phoenix, do your flight initialization, get your flight information from SimBrief, all that kind of stuff, literally just plugging it into a USB. So I said this at the expo. I said it at my first stream back from the expo, and I will continue to say it. I believe WinWing is going to be the top flight simulation peripheral development company until someone else does it better. Because, and that doesn't discredit the other companies that are out there that are making flight sim peripherals, such as Thrustmaster and Logitech and Virpil and stuff like this. Virpil's got a couple of cool things coming as well with those New Yorks that are coming out. But in reference to like actual peripherals versus controls, like MCDU units, and Max from WinWing has actually confirmed that they're going to be doing an Airbus radio stack as well. I believe a Boeing one as well, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to be doing radio stacks that you're probably going to end up picking up for 70, 80, 90 US dollars, $100 maybe, wow. Right? They have an entire Boeing 737 MCP coming as well. So you're going to have a full autopilot panel for the Boeing 737, just like you do for the Airbus. As well, yeah, motorized, exactly, as well as an EFIS panel for the 737 as well. So your altimeters and your barrows and all that stuff you're gonna add that to it. And then with the 777 FMC and the 7576 FMCs that they have released, one could only assume that they're going to continue the product line for more airplanes. Now, it's not confirmed, but I could see them doing 777 MCPs. So I could see them doing some 7.4 stuff. I could see them doing 7.5 and 7.6 stuff. And then further on more to the larger Airbus categories, such as the 350s and 380s. You know, I could see them doing more and more stuff like that. And I think I remember CST said this at the expo, and I still believe this to this day. WinWing, the fact that you will be able to build a Boeing 737, or not a full cockpit, but a semi-full cockpit for the 737 and the 320 for under $1,000 each, wow, is incredible.
It is.
To be able to just sit down in a next level racing chair like Wrongside's in right now and have a full autopilot panel for the Airbus. I'm hoping that they do throttles. I really hope they do a throttle quadrant. MCDU radio panel. I could see them doing some gear panels and maybe a transponder panel, something like that. But you're going to be able to do this for, let's do quick math here. But the EFIS, the FCU panel, the MCDU, and the side stick right there, you're at $500 before taxes, something like that. And that's all you really need to be able to not use a mouse, with the exception of a couple of other things with the overhead panel and stuff. So I think WinWing has already taken the flight sim community by shock with the prices, but I think they're going to continue to be a massive competitor in this game. Yeah. And I think it's going to make some of the other competing companies around is going to have their management in a meeting room in the next couple of weeks saying, okay, what can we do to make our products a little bit more cost effective like this company, so we can at least stay within the competition? Because if WinWing keeps doing what they're doing, I mean, hell, imagine they release a Boeing yoke, like a 737 yoke, for $120 versus $400 sitting right here in front of me, right? You know, and again, that's not to discredit Thrustmaster, because Thrustmaster produces great products, but yeah, you take 150 versus 500 and the quality's the same. Yep. You know? Yeah. So that's my opinion. I don't have opinions on the FMCs and MCDUs yet, because I haven't gotten my hands on one yet. And I haven't been able to use them yet, but as soon as I am able to give an opinion on that, you guys will know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did get an email by WinWing this morning, and they stated that there's an update coming middle of February that will make the PFP work with the rest of the 737, because right now it only works with the A800 by PMDG. So it's going to be able to work with the rest of the 737s and work with the iFly Max 8.
Yep.
And then on
Good.
February 27th, they're coming out with an update to make the MiG work with the 350.
Yeah, fly by wire and the 350 and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice.
They're already, yep.
Yeah. Als, what do you think? I know that you've received some of the product. How would you rate it at this point?
Hey, you ever look at my screen? I'll show you something here.
Yeah, we got you up on the big stream here too.
Okay. So recently, like I said earlier, I did get my hands on the McDo. And I've been using it for the past few days. And I'm one of those people that believe good products speak for themselves. I shouldn't have to explain anything to you. So if you see here, are you looking at my screen share or my camera?
At your camera, at you.
Okay. You mind checking out my screen share?
Let me bring that up. That's right. I got to do that on this end.
No, you're good.
Okay, here we go. Okay, gotcha.
All right. So recently I posted on my Instagram that I never post on my setup that I've been using with WindWing. So far I have basically everything WindWing but the rudder pedal. So this is the McD that I was using. I got the side stick from Expo, credit to CST's Tiller. And then obviously the FCU panel. So I titled this WindWinged Out. And there's a reason for that. This again, FCU, cheap as crap, works perfectly. McDo, like they were saying earlier, plug and play, works straight out of the box. And then the side stick, it's, in my opinion, I've always said the side stick's a little bit more, not less kiddie, but more so Airbus styled. The main thing I really like about it is because it doesn't have the giant kind of hat switch in the middle. This one does have it, but it has like a cover on the side, and it's a little bit more shaped as like the Airbus. So I don't know. The stuff WindWing makes, man, it's fun to use and it's good to use. But I think the main thing that I'm worried about them with is how long they last. One, and two, I think everybody could already see their production. I think they're gonna have some issues starting to push out.
They vastly underestimated how many people were going to be purchasing this on day one. They vastly underestimated. I called that at the expo. I called it 2 months ago when we were talking about it when you got partnered with WindWing, and I called it about a week prior. I was like, I guarantee you that site A is going to crash, and B, there's going to be too many orders and not enough product to fulfill them, which is exactly what happened.
Well, and I tell you, too, I do have one bit of negativity to bring in this that I'll bring into it in just a minute when it's my turn. But let me go ahead. And Mark, how about you? Have you been using any of the product yet? And what do you think?
So in my rocks was, so finally, WingWing has arrived to the flight sim community, to the, the not from the combat side, but from just a general flight sim perspective. And I've been a day one customer. WingWing has taken a lot of my money since they've been out. A lot of money. This car is probably about maxed out now. I need to, re-up this dang thing. But
thank you, Mark.
WingWing, you got the card information now. Here you go. There's nothing on there. You can't. It's all on the backside. You didn't see it. But anyway, WingWing, phenomenal product. Leaps and years abound. I think that peripherals are now catching up to the flight sim. I've got the entire WingWing, not Boeing, but Airbus set up. I just ordered all four of the McDo panel. I mean the panels. Blessed that I was able to get those. I stayed up. I was probably one of the first guys on the website at like 8-9 o'clock last night. I stayed up to like 1 a.m. making sure that my order was confirmed, shipped, and ready to go. So I got all four of those headed my way. I think the first two are coming, then 2 others on pre-order. So those are coming. And for those that know me, I have an entire full setup here right now to include a pedestal. So like I got transponders, I got radios. I start, I'm kind of like wrong side in a sense where I'm flipping some more switches than clicking buttons. So WingWing, I'm looking forward to what they got coming, man. Looking forward to it. Hopefully I can become a part of one day after I get over, like, I got about another 2,000 subscribers left to go, but but we're not gonna talk about that. But enjoying the WingWing products. The website crashes. I think they still underestimate the influence they have on the community right now, but I think they're slowly learning that as well.
Okay, very good. Wrong side, what do you think? What's your take?
First of all, I don't think Major Mark beat me to the website. Because let me tell you, I was at work I was on that sucker like 30 minutes early. I wanted the 320, 7.3, and the 777. I had all three in separate windows already up, ready to go, the timer
Yep.
running. And
Oh,
as soon
yeah.
as it hit 0, refresh. 502 bad gateway.
That's me. That was me.
Yeah, and then me and Callie
Yeah.
simmered. Callie's in the chat, and we were going back and forth over our little watches, talking on the walkie-talkie, and both having the issue. Took us about 10 minutes. We finally got all the products that we wanted in the cart. But then the next hurdle was getting PayPal to run. I think
Yes.
we sat and ran PayPal like just over and over for a couple hours until it finally went. Ultimately, I ended up having 3 separate orders. The first one timed out. The second one I paid and it went through, but then they wanted to extend everybody's 15-minute order times to 24 hours so you could pay later. So that canceled my paid
Sorry,
order.
guys.
So I had to go do it for a third time. But ultimately, I was able to get them secured. So I was happy with that. But I'll say this. I mean, I've not partnered or anything with WinWing. I'm too damn busy to stream enough to partner with anybody. I used to have a lot of partnerships. I say a lot. I used to have a few partnerships, and I canceled them all because I couldn't, deliver that promise to them to advertise whatever. But at the expo, I definitely got my hands on their little prototype, and it felt hella great. And I want to say this: I have this one. This is Java Simulators McDo, and about a $500 paperweight. And if it wouldn't probably mess up the laminate floor, in fact, the piece just fell off. If it wouldn't damage the laminate floor, I would, to illustrate how much I hate this thing, I would chunk it over my shoulder. $500.
What doesn't work with it?
Mainly the software. Like the software will say it's connected, and then you go typing and nothing happens in the airplane.
See,
Like-
that's the thing I hate about other companies, and I talk about it during my video when I did my review. WinWing does not lock the unit.
Yeah.
You can use it with MobiFly. You can use it at FSUIPC. You can use this with any open software out there that you can get your hands on. However, you buy something like that from a Scholarkey or whatever company that is that you mentioned, it is proprietary and it's locked to only work with their software. So whenever this business goes away or whenever the software just simply doesn't work, and you are bound to just wait for them to update it, and that might be a day, that might be 2 months, that might be 3 months. And on top of everything else, like I said, everything is a shelf life. So he just mentioned something just fell off the damn thing, and he spent $600 for it, right? So who's going to be more sad? Somebody that spent $600 and that thing is not working and falling apart, or somebody that spends $130 and it doesn't work and falls apart? You understand what I'm saying? When this thing breaks, when this thing blows up, when the buttons stop working, guess what? I'm just going to go buy another one for $130.
Exactly.
That's it. It's that simple, right? Because it's affordable, it's cheaper, they make the product available for your average flight simmer out there, not just for the guy with the money in his pocket that's able to spend $70,000 on a simulator, right? So that's what I appreciate the most. I think about WinWing is they're able to make it accessible to your average flight simmer out there that doesn't have all the money in the world.
Yep. And also, to your point, this thing needs a 12-volt DC power hookup, HDMI, and a USB cable.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Which
Absolutely.
adds a lot of weight just in cables, because I have everything hanging, right? And I try to keep it clean and looking good. But now it's going to be really nice with WinWing that not only is a USB Type-C, but they're all three the same, right? So when you go switch airplanes, just plug the other one in, and you're rolling.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I'm kind of like wrong side there too. I feel for the child. I've been streaming. I mean, I've been simming for about since I was 14. So I'm like almost 15 years, and I fell for the trap with what's the company out of Korea? I forget the name of them right now. Whatever it was, but anyway, I bought their Boeing CDU way back in the day, like early 2012, and just a clunk of junk. Like I literally took it outside the other week and shot it up using target practice because it was just crap.
Yeah.
I have my EFIS and FCU here. I'll put it up on the screen on the other camera there, and I absolutely love it. But I am going to dive just a little bit into the negativity here. I'm gonna get on the other side. WinWing is making a fantastic product, everything you guys are saying about it being affordable and it being very good, and you get the tactile feel. It's fan-doggone-tastic. I love it. SimCFI just dropped in. Win Wing forever. Yeah, absolutely. Callie Simmer says, I bought the mini FCU. It's now collecting dust. It was so inconsistent. Win Wing, plug and play, no issues. Yeah, absolutely. Now, but there are several things that I want to show you guys that at least I'm going to give Win Wings a 4.89675 out of 5. And here's the reason that I'm kind of giving them just a little bit lower grade. A couple of weeks ago, I'm sitting here simming, and I try to go down in altitude, and I'm sitting here and I'm turning the altitude knob to the left, and all of a sudden it comes out. Just not pulling on it, not yanking on it. It literally came out. So I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting. You can't just screw it back in. It is a screw that goes down in there, but inside the potentiometer that they use to, count the clicks, there's another lock nut, and that lock nut had come off inside of the mechanism. So me being a radio engineer and an electronics guy, I'm thinking, okay, now do I send this thing back to them and have them fix it? God only knows how long it's going to take. It's going to go to China, yada, yada, yada. Or do I go ahead and do it because I'm fairly competent in these things? So I open it up. There's a couple of circuit boards. There's a lot more screws than what the one guy who had a video on this said there was. He said you have to undo a couple of screws. It's more like probably 8 or 10, to get the console apart and then to get the boards off. And there is a very delicate ribbon cable that interconnects the two boards. But I was able to get in there, get the screw back in from the front. All the time I'm balancing it here on my workbench and sticking it up from underneath to get it in there. You've got to drop the lock nut in there, and I also put some Loctite, some liquid thread fastener in there to hold it in, and reassembled it, and thank God it worked, and here she sits, and all of that. So I was a little concerned with the fact that, everybody's going to go lower in altitude on every single flight, and because it's a screw, it's going to be a left-hand counterclockwise, to undo from that lock nut behind. So I was a little bit, skeptic of the quality of how it may have been assembled, because I'm wondering if they're trying to assemble too many of these too fast to try to fulfill the market. That's my number one concern. The other thing is, just like with 2024 and the servers crashing when everybody tried to download it, they had this problem yesterday, and it's only for pre-sale. Now, I realize that they probably need to get some money coming in to build all these things for the gajillions of people who want them. But I'm just thinking, do I want my credit card hanging out there in the wind, flapping in the wind, until 45 days or so? They may tell me that, okay, well, you're going to be able to pay for this now and we'll ship it. That's the only thing I don't like about these business models. I really just don't feel confident sending all of that stuff to China, and especially in today's political world. I'm concerned that now with the incoming administration, not going political one way or the other, but just the fact that if these big tariffs come on, how much is the price of some of this stuff going to go up? And then everybody who's maybe spent a little money so far at this point may end up having to spend more. So those are my negatives in this at this time. Just putting it out there, just from a logical thinking of it, in a technical engineering, and financial kind of way. It just seems to me there could be a better way to do that. They could build enough of these that they could send to their U.S. distribution, at least for North American consumption, and, see how those goes. And, okay, we're sold out. We'll have some more in 3 to 6 months or whatever the case may be. I wonder what their I'm talking business here a little bit, but what is their venture capital out for the future like in all of this? So they're making this great stuff now at this price point, but will they be here next year? What do you guys think about that? CSC, I'm going to come to you first.
I mean, honestly, I can see your negative 100%. And it's like I said, it's like anything else. Do you know how many people I have met to this day that tell me that their $400 and some Thrustmaster yoke does not work, and they got to send it back, and they got to contact customer service, and Thrustmaster customer service sucks. They don't reply. They tell you, "Oh, do this, do that. Are you sure it's plugged in? Are you serious, dude? What do you mean? Are you sure it's plugged in?" Right? So it's like anything else, right? So you have a $500 yoke from Thrustmaster, a very reputable company, and 3 out of their 6 yokes are having issues, and then this is bound to be the same thing, right? It's all electronics, it's all switches and knobs and putting potentiometers and all that stuff, all stuff that's either bound to fail every so often, right? So it's gonna happen, unfortunately. So yes, I mean that's just the what do you call that? The it's just the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast, right? So that's just the way it is. We're all bound to have some negative, and I'm not saying you're wrong or right or indifferent. It's going to happen, right?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that it's going to happen to me as well. One of the knobs is going to fall off. A button is going to get stuck, pressed in, right? And the way I am, I'm just like you. I'm just going to break into it. I'm going to figure it out and fix it rather than sending it back to China and waiting, a couple of weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks for them to fix it or send it back or whatever. But like I said, going back to your question, is WinWing going to be here next year? I think if they keep doing what they're doing, there's no reason why they wouldn't be here next year. As far as the demand, I think that's always going to happen that way. It's the same way with any other companies. I mean, even with software, right? When a brand new plane comes out, I'm pretty sure that when the NI builds 350 comes out, their server is going to freaking crash, right? Same thing happened with, like you said, 2024. Same thing happened when the Thrustmaster yoke first came out, right? It wasn't readily available. Long waiting times for them because Thrustmaster does the same thing. They don't build a million of these things and put them in shelves. They'd be dumb to do that because then they're left with all this stock. Who's going to pay for it, right? So I think the motto of WinWing and Thrustmaster and any other companies out there that builds peripheral for this niche kind of community, flight simming community, you kind of got to be careful, right? You don't want to put too much out there and end up either spending too much or not doing enough, right? So in a way, I think they have a stockpile ready to go, but it's not going to meet the demand, right? That's why they do the pre-order, right? And they kind of do it in waves. And as they're doing these waves, it happened the same way with the FCU. What they do is, as they go through the beginning phase of the first wave, they'll start stocking the U.S. warehouses. There's 2 warehouses in the U.S. For WinWing. They start stocking the East and the West Coast, right? And stocking European warehouses. And in that process, it's going to become easier and easier for you to get the product. So if you don't want to deal with a pre-order and waiting 3-4 weeks, just wait until it says it's available for you to order. That might be next month. It might be 2 months from now. But if that's all you want to do, if all you want to do is click buy now, pay for it, and get it shipped the next day, then you should probably wait at least a month or 2.
Sure.
Before you order it.
Sure.
But if you want to get it right now, and you want to be one of the first ones to get it as soon as it starts shipping, then you might want to pre-order it now because it's probably going to take them anything between 30 to 45 days before they can even ship the units. And I think that's you were asking, are they going to be there next year? I think because of the way they're doing this, they're probably going to be next year. They're not going to go bankrupt because they're building too many units and not selling enough. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nice. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
If nothing goes wrong, if they keep doing what they're doing and they keep meeting the price point in the way that they're doing with the same quality, I think they're going to be here next year.
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah. And that's why I brought it up too, to see what you guys thought. Wrong side. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I had the same exact issue that you did. Sounded like it's happened to quite a number of people, and I did the same thing to fix yours. I think I watched the same video as well. I mean, I like this is exactly what CST said. If they keep doing what they're doing, keep the price points that they're at, make this affordable, undercut the rest of the market. Unless the market responds and starts making other products that are similar in quality and similar in price, I think they're going to be here to stay for the long haul. I believe they mentioned somewhere on their Instagram that their goal is to make a modular cockpit for very cheap. That you will basically have a full cockpit. So I think they could do that if they keep doing what they're doing, and not just with the Airbus or the 737, but continue on with multiple aircraft types and just take things over.
Good, good. Mike, how about you? I'm glad to see you're back in there. Hello, Ruby. Ruby's in the background there. Hi, Ruby.
Yeah, I got the Ruby and Mama Mikey in the background. I need y'all to excuse excuse my frustration.
It's all right, man.
My computer has it out against me today. So I spent the better part of the last 10 minutes. My stream crashed again, so I just ended it. My camera crashed. And then everything in my computer just disconnected, and I had to restart my computer. So, thumbs up in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm back. I missed the last 10 minutes of the conversation, so I have no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, well, I just kind of talked about quality. I give Wind Wings a 4.89675 out of 5, based on the EFIS and the FCU that I own myself. You know, the launch of the product yesterday and the crashing of the website, I kind of likened to what happened with 2024. And are they going to be here? Yeah, they're making great stuff, at least initially. Is it going to last? And I agree with CSG. I've got radios that are 40 years old here, and they still work because I take care of them, and I take care of my computer. I blow the dust out of it every couple of 3 weeks. You know, I mean, I'm a radio engineer, and I take care of multi-million-dollar transmitter sites, and I take care of equipment. You know, is the Wind Wing stuff going to last? Is it good enough quality? Do you think they'll be here in another year, being able to do what they're doing now? So that's
right.
That's the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah. Just a question for everybody in the chat. Technicality speaking, is Jack's audio cutting out for anybody else but me?
Here
Just
and
a little
there.
bit.
Yeah, you guys hearing
it?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, well, I heard everything you said. It's just audio, so I just wanted to make sure that it just wasn't on my end, because if it was on my end, I just added another issue to my list. Then, so in my personal opinion, I think Wind Wing's number one objective right now is going to be delivery, you know, and how to build their production, and be able to keep up with the demand that they have set. First things first, obviously, this is a company that's based out of China, right? So, you know, they do have a US store to where things can be shipped out via the US and not have to pay ridiculous shipping fees and stuff like that. But if I were Wind Wing, with the success of their products as of recent, and with the money that they have been making based off of these products, my number one goal, if I was CEO of that company, would be finding investors in other countries that would be willing to invest to help produce and ship the products without deterring the quality of the product. That would be my number one goal. And I think if there's anything that would put Wind Wing on the cliff per se, before getting pushed off and falling to their death, would be demand and being able to meet that demand. Because not a lot of people knew who Wind Wing was prior to the FS Expo. And then once the expo happened and they showcased all this incredible stuff, and I mean, you guys heard the reaction in that auditorium when they did their brief showcase of what's coming. Everybody in that room was just like, "Are you serious?" I think everybody in that room has at least purchased one item from that product, and there was 4,000 people there. So, I think it's going to be difficult for them. I think there's going to be some speed bumps for them to get over in the next few months, in order for them to maintain themselves as a company. But I don't think they will fail. I don't think that will fail. I think there's going to be some learning curves, and I think there's going to be some mistakes made that they're going to have to, like, for example, let's bring PMDG up for an example, right? It without fail, every aircraft release from PMDG has been a disaster. Not the product. The product is awesome, but their release and how being able to purchase the product and receiving their product has been a disaster. When I bought the 777, Owls and I and a bunch of other people were in a VC, right? And we were waiting for the aircraft to be eligible to be purchased. And I hit my refresh button on Google and it said add to cart and purchase. I had to have been probably one of the first 100 people to have that aircraft in the cart, right? I purchased, bought it. I did not have that aircraft access code until the following day. So if you put that into perspective when it comes to WinWing and what they're doing now, obviously they're getting their products out. I don't think anybody's had issues with them getting their product. But when it comes to shipping and when it comes to production value and when it comes to quantity and getting all of their orders fulfilled without mistake, that's going to be a speed bump for them. I think they're going to have to build that team pretty substantially in order for them to remain as successful as they are getting to be right now. In reference to the quality of their products, I think the products speak for themselves. I haven't had any issues with my products. The only thing that I would like to see is SimApp Pro. I would like that to be a little bit more modernized. I think SimApp Pro is running on a very old engine, and because it can be quite confusing for the new user, for those that don't really understand how third-party products work, first flight sim peripherals. I think that's definitely something that they need to improve. And I would personally like to be able to not have to have a third-party plugin running in the background in order for the stuff to work. Because that's just another resource that I have to have open while flying. And obviously, with the way computers work and technical issues and stuff like that, like I've experienced today, the more you have running in the background, the worse your sim is going to run. So I definitely think like I said, I think WinWing is in the running to becoming one of the best companies that Flight Sim has to offer when it comes to peripherals. But they're definitely gonna get some speed bumps along the way. There's definitely going to be speed bumps along the way. I don't think any company ever launches successfully. I think they are successful now, but they're definitely going to have to make sure that they maintain what they've got now and do not allow the quality of their product to hinder going forward because of, demand meeting. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Sure, absolutely. By the way, their website is still running painfully slow. Mike, when you started talking, I brought the website up initially, and it just now got to the page, and it hasn't finished writing for all the airline flight control panels. Yeah. It's
if I can, going back to what Mikey was saying about the 777.
Yeah,
I did the same thing. Refresh, add to cart, buy it. Now I got to wait for the key, right? For the next day, the code to activate the aircraft. Before I got my code to activate the aircraft, no names. There were already people that were flying the plane, the cracked version of the plane, right? The illegal version of the plane. They're already flying this thing around, and here I am waiting on my key from PMDG, right? So, yeah. On a lighter note, I've got a message from one of my members over here that says he just got his tracking number and his MiG-2 is already being shipped.
Nice.
So that's good news and he just pre-ordered it last night. So that's good news. So that means that there's some units out there already ready to get shipped. So
okay. Alice, how about you? What do you think about this particular point of topic?
I think they're doing pretty good, but I think there's one big downside to this that I don't think anybody said yet. They make a really affordable price, which I'm not a parent, but if my kid sees that, they're going to start asking me to get it for the younger audience. So I think there's going to be influx of younger users of the product. And with that, it's going to be a lot of issues that are coming up with the product. There's going to be people complaining that, oh, my button's broken, oh, my thing's broken, and this thing sucks. And that is going to be where I think that's going to get the real test, because every company has it. Thrustmaster has it. Even flight sim airplanes. People say their plane is bugged and it doesn't work, and they just don't know how to use it properly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Quality assurance and how that portion of their company is going to work.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that's going to be their test is how they're going to handle and we like to say Timmies that have issues with their product when in reality it's just, the user breaking it.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean you?
Oh, come on back, buddy. Come on back. Mark, how about you? What do you think?
So I don't think that there's an issue with product fulfillment. I just think it's an issue with ordering. So I think that and this is across the board with all developers, PMDG and everybody else, it needs to be a staggered approach in terms of ordering. The whole world can't order at one time because I mean, let's just face it, this is flight sim, this is a niche market. These developers are not paying for big time servers like Amazon or things of that nature. So a staggered approach to the ordering process, capping it per region on how many orders they will take as pre-orders will help streamline the approach, because I believe that there is enough product out there currently to fulfill the orders they're getting. It's just the sheer amount of people that are currently trying to order it all at one time.
Yeah.
And then to Al's point, the quality assurance is what I'm concerned about. On the back end, it's kind of, let's face it, they are mass producing thing. This thing is being mass produced right now, and it has not let up since the release of the first the FCU. So to say that I don't think it's a problem with the ordering. I just think it's a problem with the approach on the website that keeps crashing. If you streamline it that way, I don't think you have as many crashes. People made pre-order, whether they're doing global or per their region.
Yeah. QC is always a big deal. And for those of you who are a little older, and I'm quite older than CST at this point, quality control used to be a really, really big thing. And I just don't think it is so much anymore. I know that they want to do well and they want it to be a good, solid product. And we'll see how time tells. But, you're right. You're right, CST. There's an awful lot of responsibility in the owner operator. What do you think, Wrong Side?
So the last 3 times that I've ordered products, similar experience but different at the same time. FCU, I don't think I actually really had much of an issue in the ordering process. EFIS, on the other hand, now just like I was with the McDo and the POF or whatever the hell they're calling it, sitting there ready. And then as soon as I hit refresh, everything's crashed, right? Last time it took a lot longer to get the product into my cart, but once I had it in the cart, I was able to get through PayPal, no problem. This time it was the other way around. It seemed like they kind of beefed up the servers a little bit, and even though the website was slow, if you kept refreshing, you would eventually get to what you were trying to get to. It took me about 10 minutes to get 3 separate products into my cart. But it was the PayPal thing that was the issue, and that turned out to be that PayPal, I don't know if maybe they didn't give PayPal a heads up, maybe PayPal thought there was fraud or something, but PayPal slowed down everything, and that was the main driving issue, at least for me and Callie Simmer in our purchasing experience. Me and her, we always order on the global site, and earlier today she mentioned that for the EFIS panel, she ordered October 8th, they shipped October 11th, she had them pretty quick. It was the same experience for me. So I would anticipate it's going to be the same with the FMS and the McDo's. But I tell you, man, like I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I want to show y'all something.
Yeah.
Let's see, go live. So we'll look and see whenever it comes up. All right. So, anyways,
There you go.
looking at this little nav radio, right? This is on Etsy. And I've even seen where this dude gets the parts from. You can make this thing for relatively cheap if you know how to do a little soldering and some programming and stuff, right? $264, and that's down from $311, right? Switch to this. This is what WinWing is coming out with, or what they're. And this is another thing that I like.
Wow,
when we were
that's
talking about
nice.
positive and negatives with WinWing, I was going to make the same negative point that you made, but I was also going to follow that up with this positive point. And I love that WinWing put out a survey on the new 3-in-1 RMP panel. They were wanting the pilots input on, do we want the new panel that Airbus just came out with? A lot of our newest Neos in our fleet has this kind of all-in-one panel, or do we rather have the more traditional RMP, MCP, and transponder panels? And I think it's really cool that they're even giving us a voice. But based off of the prices that we've been seeing, would you like? In my opinion, I will sit there for 2, 3, 7 hours and hit refresh on PayPal to avoid spending that kind of money on this.
Yeah, I agree.
This
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
There's a lot to be said for that.
And on top of everything else, if you go back to the previous picture you had up there of the one that's on Etsy, that thing is 3D printed. All right, so it's not the same quality. I mean, the Wing stuff quality is 10 times better than that.
Yeah,
that is literally a 3D printed piece of equipment, kind of like the tiller that I make, right? And you know, it doesn't take much to build. So it's literally a rotary knob, 2 push buttons, and two LCD screens. That's all it is, and an Arduino board, right? So in total parts, labor is really what people are trying to get paid for. But in total parts, you might have at the most $50 there.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. $50 of parts.
Yeah.
So if you account for, you know, if you take the $50 out of the $265 that he's charging, that's a hell of a lot labor there involved.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, CST is going to be taking pre-orders on his tiller starting in about 5 minutes.
Oh, so negative.
Hey, by the way, Callie Simmer says, I think they're pretty cheap on shipping costs. I'm paying $36 for each for FedEx from Hong Kong to California. Can't ship domestic for FedEx for that amount. Maybe a letter package.
I agree.
You're absolutely right there, FedEx.
I agree. They're not very expensive when it comes to shipping, tax, and all that good stuff. It's in a lot of cases they avoid they're able to avoid what do you call them? Custom fees and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just hope that after Monday, China's not going to get slapped with that 60% tariff. That's a little concerned what's going to
That's only going to be on cars.
Yeah. On cars. Good. All right. Well, very good. Well, you know what? For those of us who may be waiting for whatever reason to buy the McDo, I want it. Love to have it now. Love to have it for both the Boeing and the Airbus product. But there are workarounds, and they actually work extremely well. I'm sitting here right now with the fly-by-wire Airbus A320 loaded into the sim, and on my pad, I'll show that here. Let me get on the big screen here. Let me go ahead and do that. On my pad, I have the McDo for the Airbus on my Android. It'll work on, of course, what's the other Apple? The other fruit, Apple,
iPad.
Yeah. iPad. Yeah, and you know, I got to tell you guys, one of the reasons that I have kind of decided it's a secondary or even thirdary reason. I just don't have room. I am out of room down here. However, I can set this right here, but it gets in the way of my mouse just because of the way I'm configured here. But the Airbus from Fly-by-Wire, and the Phoenix has the software already built into it. So that is talking to this, and I got to tell you, this works great. I've had something a time or two for the Boeing. I've got to get that working again. I haven't really used it lately. But for those of us who are having to wait for whatever reason, or those of us who maybe can't even afford, you know, the $130 for it plus the shipping, it's going to be another $30 for shipping from China. You know, this is a great alternative. It works well. If I can be of any help to you in getting that running, I'm happy to do it. But of course, you can go to YouTube University, you know, and learn how to bake a cake. So, you know, when it gets right down to it, we've got some alternatives that are sticking by. Guys, I know you've done that kind of thing before, CST. Let's go back around the horn on that. Some of the alternatives that are available. What do you think? What are your ideas?
Yeah, I've definitely tried a lot of those software-based type, especially because let's face it, the FMC, the McDo's is one of those things that you really want, right? You spend a lot of your time on FMCs and McDo's, you know, loading your aircraft, loading the flight plan, planning ILS approaches, departures, all that good stuff, weights, performance. I mean, that's literally the brains of the whole operation is your FMC and your MIG-2, right? Alongside with Evan, all the other stuff, but the MIG-2 is really the meat, right? So we've all at one point, if we've been doing this flight simming thing for a while, we've all at one point have looked for a way to either make it work on your iPad. I know that I looked numerous times to buy one, a physical one, but then I look at the prices, and my wife chased me out of the room because she's like, "No, you're not buying that. There's no way you're spending $600 for a peripheral for your flight simming experience." So sorry, right? So she is the man of the house, and I got to listen to her. So that's just the way. That's how that rolls. But I've tried Simbox. I've tried, I think it's called Avia something. I forget exactly what it's called.
Aviatab.
Aviatab. There's so many out there, right? There's so many out there. I want to say some of them are payware, but they're very cheap. They're like $10 or something like that for the program. And a lot of them are freeware and open source and all that good stuff. So for those of you that are interested, I forget exactly the name of it. I can look it up and find it. But there's stuff out there that you can put your overhead panel on an iPad or a touch screen. You can do the same thing with the center pedestal and put it on a touch screen. So all that stuff, if you want to use touch screens or iPads, all the stuff is available and out there. You just gotta see which one works better for you. As a matter of fact, during World Flight, we were using an iPad. An iPad for the overhead panel, right? Yeah. Which in a lot of cases made it, to me, in my experience, made it a lot easier than clicking through the Stream Deck and trying to figure out which button was what. You literally look at your iPad and okay, there's lights, there's my whatever engine start switches, and there it is, right? So all that stuff is out there. So if you don't have the financial ability to be able to purchase such items, then that's a much cheaper way of getting this a little bit of an higher level of immersion and a better experience when flying. I've seen people that buy a little bigger touchscreen monitors and they hang them right above them, and they have the overhead panel, and all they got to do is just click on the touchscreen to do whatever. There's people that do full cockpit setups like that. They have two screens in the front, one on top and one on the bottom right here for the center pedestal, and it's all touchscreen LCD screens for center pedestals, MIP, and overhead panel, and it works, right? Would I do it that way? No, probably not. That's not my cup of tea. But again, if you have the ability to buy 3 or 4 touchscreen LCD screens, it's doable, and it's doable of a hell of a lot cheaper than the alternative.
Yeah.
All that stuff is out there.
Yeah.
And for the younger generation that's watching, I mean, these products that are coming out from WinWing, these MCDUs and FMSs that are coming out are $130. Now, to the younger generation, that might sound like a lot of freaking money, right? And to me, that's still a lot of money to spend on a piece of plastic that I'm going to use for gaming, right? But at the same time, when I was younger, I would have went to my parents and been like, "What chores do I got to do?"
Good point. Good point.
Whose grass do I have to go mow?
Yeah.
And just say, hey, this is the product that I want. What do I have to do? Go do some chores. Make sure you bring a good report card home. Do what they tell you to do. Don't freaking argue with them. And just be like, hey, this came out. I would like to get it. What can I do for you guys? And worst they're gonna say is, no, we're not getting it. And then at that point, go flip some burgers at McDonald's and you'll be able to get it yourself, right? Because McDonald's hires starting at like 15, 16 years old now. So I mean, there's possibility for here. But you send your parents to Scholarkey MCDU, which is $600 US, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
Something like that.
800.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, 800. Well,
yeah,
geez.
One of my buddies has it, and you have to have an Ethernet cable that plugs into the back of it.
Yep,
it's insane. Yeah, it's just you go show your parents that. Show them the difference. Show them Scholarkey MCDU, and then show them WinWing's MCDU, and tell them that you want the WinWing one, and they'll probably be a little bit more receptive to it, right? But even then, you show them the Scholarkey MCDU, it's be like, they're going to ask you to go run a freaking marathon, mow 15 different lawns. You're going to have to clean the house for one day, every day for a month, for them to even consider, So this is very cost efficient Wind Wings products. So, and that's why I decided to partner with them, because there's other options out there where that, you could partner with in order to be able to receive these and review them for the community. Because I believe content creators such as myself, Owl, CST, Mark, Jack, Wrong Side, Captain Canada, all the other ones that are out there, the amount of review videos that have been on this thing in the last 3-4 days has been incredible, so it's out there, and all you got to do is really just figure out what you can do to make 130 bones. I know I hate doing dishes, but hell, go do them.
Yeah, the price, Mark. I remember I was talking to a gentleman. I don't even remember who he was or what his name was during the expo. And, I went out to smoke, and this dude was out there. He was actually on the floor. I forget what company or whatever. But everybody was talking about the Wind Wing stuff, right? Because they had just presented something or whatever. So everybody that was out there smoking outside of the hotel, they're like, oh, Wind Wing this and Wind Wing that. And this dude was like, oh, this FCU at that price point, it's cheaply made. It's going to last you 1 year at the most. And I looked at him, I said, if it lasts me 1 year for that price, it's already been paid for. I'll just go buy another one. That's the way I look at it. I understand for some people, $130 is $130. I get it. For the average person like me, $130 spent for this thing, the way I fly sim, which is almost on a daily basis, if this thing lasts me 12 months, it's paid for itself 20 times.
Yeah.
So when that thing falls apart or stops working, I happily will give Wind Wing another $140 to ship me another one for another 12 months or more, right? And again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. 80% of this thing lasting, it's on you, right? You need to take care of this stuff. It's not made for you to swing it across the wall and drop it on the ground and and abuse it. It's made for you to take care of it, use it as gently as possible. I'm always gentle with the stuff, dude. I treat this thing like it's a little baby. And when you pick up the baby's a newborn baby, you pick it up and you're holding its neck and you're like, oh my God. That's the way. Support the head. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's the way I touch this thing, right? Every time I pull and push, I'm like holding it with two hands and I'm like pulling the knob. Okay, cool. I just be aware. This is electronics. It's not the real thing, right? It is all. At the end of the day, it's plastic, it's switches, it's knobs, potentiometer, everything. It's going to fail eventually. It's going to happen. Just like it happened to you, Jack. A knob is going to fall off. In that case, you just send it back and get it fixed if you don't have the know-how, or if you're fortunate enough, like me and Jack and some other people here in the panel, you can just take that thing apart and fix it real quick and be done with it, right? Where there's a will, there's a way, right? If you're willing to do it and learn it, like you said, get on the YouTube library and learn how to bake a cake. You're baking a cake. It's literally that simple. I didn't know how to make a tiller a few months ago. I went on YouTube and I'm like, how do you do this? How do you program Arduino? YouTube library, YouTube university, and next thing you know, I'm printing and building a tiller. That's really all there is to it. So,
wait, did you say you used YouTube as a resource?
Yeah, God forbid, right? I know
YouTube,
exactly where he's going with this.
YouTube University, man.
Yeah. So, Owls, if you go on YouTube, you'll find out exactly how to get your camera to work on OBS and all that good stuff.
Thanks.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
Hey, CST, here's my credit card information. I'm waiting on the tiller.
Shot yourself in the foot with that one, buddy.
Yeah, well, he's going to be mad at me because I did announce a few minutes ago that he's going to start taking pre-orders for his tiller here tonight. So
yeah. Let me know at the end of the night how many DMs you get on Discord tonight, CST.
So I used to offer those to a lot of my members and subscribers, friends, family, and cousins, and all that good stuff. I used to do that, and I didn't do it because I wanted to make money or be a job, right? So whenever it started to feel like, oh my God, I got all these people waiting on me to make tillers. I'm like, okay, that's it. I put a period on it, and I'm like, I'm gonna get these tillers out, and I'm done, dude. The only other time I'm doing tillers is if I'm doing a giveaway or that sort of stuff, right? So I'm not saying that I wouldn't be willing to make one for some of the guys here on this panel, but let's not publicize that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, CST, being a little more electronic savvy like I am, you've kind of inspired me. I think I'll try to look up, maybe how to do something like that. That's really good. Als, what about you? What are your final thoughts on the WinWing stuff here we're discussing?
Cut out there, Jet.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm hearing myself just fine. Anyway, what are your final thoughts on the WinWing discussion?
I think they're great. Like I said, I think if they just can keep it up and keep improving, because obviously, like Mike said earlier, no company is going to be amazing off the get-go. There's a lot of, dips and hills they're running over right now. So they just keep learning from what they're doing. I think they'll be great. And just like CST said, you're paying. I just got into the flight sim community like 2 or 3 years ago, and when I'm trying to look for this kind of stuff, I'm seeing $800, $700. You can't beat these prices. So even if we do figure out that maybe it's not the best build quality, it's cheap. It's affordable. You could always just replace it. So I think they'll be good.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is you use the product and it does not feel like $100 product.
Exactly. Yeah, that too.
When I got my FCU, I was just like, holy crap, these knobs actually have retention when you turn them. That's crazy. And the only thing that I would say that feels the cheapest about the FCU is the push and pull function. You can tell it's spring loaded. So those springs over time will weaken, right? And, but obviously when you're manipulating an FCU that has a tiny push and pull detent for the altitude and vertical speed and so on and so forth, you don't want to be sitting here just yanking the crap out of the knob and expecting it not to break. So like CST saying, you got to be gentle with the products. As long as you take care of it, it's going to be there,
The only thing that speaking of the MIG-DO and the PFP that just recently came out with, the only thing that was brought up to my attention, because it's not even something I noticed, because I think it's something that either real pilots or people that are maybe wrong side has more experience in this. I did in the past, but I didn't even think about it, to be honest. The buttons of the MIG-DO and the PFP, there are rubber buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And SimCFI that was telling me, I wish they were like hard plastic instead of rubbery type buttons.
In the Airbus, they are rubber.
In the Airbus, they are rubber. Okay, well, delay my last. From what I understand, in the CRJ and I think even the Boeing, they're like hard plastic buttons.
Mm-hmm.
They're not rubbery to the touch. You know what I'm saying? They're even shiny in certain models. I don't know. Maybe there's new versions of the FMC for the Boeings that are not that way anymore. Now they're built rubber or whatnot. To me, it's not a negative, right? It's not one of those things that's like, oh my God, I wish it was. I don't care, dude. They still function the same way. They still do the same job, but instead of being hard plastic, they're rubber plastic, right? So if SimCFI would have never told me that, I wouldn't have paid no attention to it, right? I would have been like, this is amazing, right? But then again, I think to have something instead of being rubber, if it was like hard plastic, I think I probably would have appreciated it a little bit more. But at the price point, I really can't complain too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, guys, I think we've covered that pretty well. Good job. Great to have the panel together here for the first time in 2025. I'm looking for my control here. Where did it go? It's disappeared. All right, let me do that. Nope, that's not what I want either. Okay.
You could Google that one, Jack.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Say again.
You could Google that one.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to do that, right? Oh, well, I tell you what, our special guest tonight, Wrong Side Simulation. It's great to have you here, Blake. What are your final thoughts overall on the WinWing debut?
On the what debut?
On the WinWing debut with everything going on. Man, I think it's something that if anybody can pursue, should.
If you could, one last time, I just shared
Yeah.
my screen. I'd like to share one thing with the audience.
Yep.
On this topic. So aside from immersion and um, a fun kind of toy to play with, right? I think these things are phenomenal training tools. If you're extremely serious about wanting to become, a pilot or airline pilot, you can watch YouTube videos, as we were talking about a while ago, especially guys like V1, and learn flows, learn the real way to run these things, and have a foot up when you go to flight school, and then you ultimately end up into ground school at an airline. This little picture here, believe it or
I
not, was taken
remember
by
this.
V1
Yeah.
Simulations. And he flew in. He had about a 3-hour sit in Orlando, so I drove down, hung out with him, and when the aircraft came in and parked, let me jump in the seat and set up the aircraft. And so I'm taking the real world OFP, plugging it in. Obviously, he's there watching everything that I'm doing, just to cross check, along with the FO. But being that I've had one of these, and I've taken the time to learn the diff trip flow and how you set one of these up in the Airbus, I was able to go through the real thing, set it up. Also having some additional resources with our Jepson charts and our NFL procedures, that kind of stuff, to go plug everything in. And I did it in the same way that V1 would have done it if he was sitting in that seat. And we also didn't take a delay, which I couldn't believe. I got it done quick enough. So I just want to point out that these things can be unbelievable training tools. For me, it was a little bit weird because I'm obviously usually sitting in the right seat. So I'm usually typing with my left hand, and I've gotten pretty fluent with my left hand where I can do a lot of it without really looking. Going over to the right seat, I was a lot more, with my one finger.
Yeah.
But it's amazing the stuff that we're getting in our hands and how you can take this and apply it to real world, especially when you want to take the time to watch guys, especially guys like V1, 320 Sim Pilot, all these real world pilots who will show you the right way to do these things, at least based off of their company SOPs. And you can take that, apply it, and learn something real. And I just want to show y'all this. You saw it here for the non-wrong side guys. In the flesh, this is V1 Simulations. For those of y'all who've never seen this face.
Very nice.
Awesome guy. Awesome human being.
I gotta tell you, wrong side. When you posted that on your community tab of your YouTube initially, what was it, like 2-3 months ago? I was like, oh man, wrong sides, or V1's gonna pull that 357 out in a heartbeat with it. And I was like, nah, you got permission. I saw. Yeah. I was like, looks absolutely nothing like he sounds. I'll be quite honest with you.
He sure don't. I think the only way that we really know him. Let's see. I had a separate picture. Yeah, that's about the only way we know him right there.
Yeah,
that one hairy arm.
Yeah, the arm on the side stick. Yeah.
Oh,
it's not even the arm for me. It's the watch, dude. The watch.
Yeah, the watch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
Must have been an awesome time, man, because I've been watching V1 for a lot of years. I've learned a ton of knowledge about the Airbus, which is why I've fallen in love with the aircraft by watching his channel. And it must have been insane to be able to sit there in a real world 320 and actually get to program the aircraft and set up the flight plan and all that kind of stuff and be like, it really ain't too much different from Microsoft, man.
Yeah, and I stopped sharing my screen, but also the other cool thing that he let me do was make the welcome aboard announcement. And
oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
and it was super funny because as I'm sitting there with the PA to my mouth, he writes down on a piece of paper and sits it in front of me on the trade table. It says, "Don't say fuck."
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw you posted that photo.
Yeah. It was an awesome time. He's a great dude, but he's phenomenal at teaching. He can take something super complex and explain it in a way that makes sense to all of us. And learn from it and implement it into our streams and into the way that we fly the airplane.
Because that's initially what drew me to his channel, was like, man, this guy really knows how to explain stuff so it doesn't sound so complex and complicated, right? Talking all the way back to his flight training days when he was flying out of Mesa in Phoenix and when he was training and stuff like that. So, and it's on every aircraft that he flies. It's not just the Airbus. Obviously, if you want to learn Airbus stuff, that's the channel to watch. Just like if you want to learn 737 stuff, Flight Deck to Sim is the channel to go and watch, right? But even when he's talking about other planes, like when he flies the Learjet or anything like that, it's just that the Duke, the piston aircrafts, dude, I wouldn't have touched those with a 10-foot pole before I watched his channel, man. But good man, I'll tell you, if you guys genuinely do not know V1 Simulations in his channel, that is one channel that is at the top of my list of recommendations to go and watch, because every 6 months when he's up for recurrent training, he does recurrent streams, and he's doing all of his practice in the aircraft, doing engine flame outs, V1 cuts, so on and so forth. And he's doing real world procedures and emergency procedures on stream. So if you genuinely want to learn, like the other day, I was flying with Owls when he was doing his that long ass flight from Toronto to the Caribbean, and on takeoff, I had an engine flame out, and because I've watched V1 do it thousands of times on his channel, I was like, okay, I know what to do here. You know, was it company SOP? No, by no means was it. But you know, that's definitely the channel. If you're an Airbus fanatic, that is the channel to go and watch for sure.
You know, I had never heard of him, so I'm really glad that you guys brought this up. I just put a link to his channel in the chat there. If you guys in the chat want to check it out, you know, you're absolutely right on so many fronts. And Als, I know you can attest to this because you've been in a Boeing simulator, and I, as you guys know, got to go into the real world, real simulator over at the Flight Training Center here in Denver just recently. And I programmed in did the whole flight, just like I was sitting here in the sim from Albuquerque to Colorado Springs. Actually, had programmed it to Denver, but he said, we're diverting you. So I had to get back in there and divert to Colorado Springs. And it's just amazing to me what we are learning and, you know, how we can function in these simulators and these guys that are real world pilots coming on and teaching us this stuff on YouTube University. You know, it's just it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, and I've told this story before. I don't know if I've told you this story wrong side, but when I started flight school back in 2014, late 2014 and in 2015, I actually when my instructor asked me on my initial training day before I did my discovery flight, when he asked me, is like, what's your experience in aviation? Do you have any experience whatsoever? I said nothing aside from a flight simulator, no real world experience. Excuse me. And he looked at me and told me, throw all your flight simulation experience out the window. And I was like, initially, I was like, okay. But then we walked out to the airplane. We did our walk around, you know, and sitting there, have my knee board and my checklist on my left leg, you know, and I'm sitting there running through my checklist. And my flight instructor looks at me and says, what are you doing? I said, I'm following the checklist. And he's like, how do you know you're pressing the right stuff? I was like, because I've flown this plane in the sim. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory. Master battery, avionics, right? And he looked at me, he was like, all right, cool. So we go through, we start the airplane up, we're getting ready to taxi. I looked at him, I was like, I want to handle comms if that's okay with you. And he's like, okay, you know the phonetic? And I was like, yep, I do. So and we were at a non-towered airport, so it was just position calls like we do on Unicom. And we did it, got out to the runway, took off, and he looks at me and he's like, where'd you learn this stuff? And I said, I told you. Flight sim. And he's like, I didn't know flight sims got that advanced. And I was like, yeah, they're getting pretty freaking crazy stupid advanced now. So I think a lot of flight schools, like, granted, you don't want to bring bad habits from the flight sim to actual flight school because that can be detrimental. But at least semi, you know, the knowledge that you receive from aircrafts to position calls and understanding what a heading is and vectoring and ATC calls and how to speak to ATC, so on and so forth. I get made fun of from these guys all the time about how I speak on VATSIM, but it's a force of habit from my flight instructor telling me, hey, lower your voice a little bit so, you know, it comes across clearly and concisely when you're talking. So
yeah, and all this stuff even translate into my world in dispatch, whether it's in the dispatch office or even in the jump seat in the cockpit. Just last week, I had a dispatcher that had to send over a new release, and the crew was waiting for ops to print it out. And it was taking them a hot minute. I was like, all right, I'm gonna gather the diff trip flow that the pilots would put into the McDo. I'm gonna get that data off of the OFP. I'll send it to you in Teams, and you send it to the crew, and they can have the McDo programmed, ready to go before the paperwork even gets to them. So knowing the McDo and the flow and, you know, everything that we need to put into the airplane from Flight Sim, I sent that to him, sent it to the crew, and they managed to get out without a delay. And on the flip side of that, in the jump seat, there's been multiple times where the pilots will miss some sort of an instruction from ATC, and I'll hear it because I'm tied into the comms as well, and I can help out in that way. So when I'm in the jump seat, whether you're a dispatcher or a pilot, if you're in the jump seat, you're considered part of the flight crew, and so you have to be paying attention and go, you know, sterile below 10,000, all that stuff. So we can even help out in that regard where they miss a call out or they miss an instruction, and let them know. all this stuff, like it's amazing how much it translates into real world aviation. There's definitely, and to your point, like whenever I've gone and flown some small airplanes, what I would always want to do is I'd want to look out the window and look at the horizon versus looking at my instruments from artificial horizon, right? And so I've had some times where I've gone up with an instructor, and as soon as I'm off the ground, I'm trying to look out the window, but I'm climbing and the nose is up. I can't see the horizon. Now I'm drifting off runway heading, and my wings are tilted a little bit, and my nose is a little too far up. I need to watch the artificial horizon. So there are some, to your point, some bad habits you could bring into it, but all of this stuff, it translates to real world, and you could absolutely kickstart into a career, whether you're dispatch or operations or pilot, whatever the case. It's
especially
phenomenal.
if you're Owls FS, man. God forbid you flip a switch out of a flow in an Airbus.
Okay, but going off of what Wrong Side said, I don't know if you want to CJ.
I'll tell you one thing though. I can speak to Owls FS defense. I think is more thorough than real pilots out there because the man literally takes 3 hours to get off the ground. I shit you not, dude. 3 hours to get off the ground. He's doing like the walk around. He's doing the pushing all the buttons. He's talking to the. He's talking to the passengers, walking them on board as they walk into the plane. I mean, this dude literally.
Tag bags.
Click. He starts to stream. I click on his stream. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And then I'm like, my wife is like, hey, food is ready. I'm gonna go eat real quick. So I close it. I go eat. I come back like an hour and a half later, and this dude is still on the ground, looking at his plane, out of focus, trying to get the perfect angle, and be like, "Oh yeah, fantastic day, fantastic." I'm like, "Dude, please go fly the damn plane, bro." Like
we sit here and we give you shit about it, but I promise you'll be a captain on the Airbus by the time you're 23.
Yeah, I hope so, bro. If you look, Jack, I shared my screen. Just going off of what Wrong Side said. So this is when I got invited out to the Dream Era flight sim. It's a full motion 737 cockpit. I've been in a cockpit of the 737 before, but I've never actually got to sit and mess with everything. So this is sped up just to save time. But this was my engine start of flying the 737. Again, I've never touched the thing. It just straight off the dome from the flight sim. Look at this.
Yep.
Just slapping the buttons. It's crazy.
And see what's crazy too is you're running your fingers across all the knobs like a real pilot is doing.
Yep. I totally get that because when I was in the 737-800 there at the flight training center, is the same thing, man. I knew where everything was. I almost didn't even have to look. You know where it is.
Bro, can you do your streams at this speed?
Hey, look, touching all the buttons is all fun and all until both pilots accidentally touch fingertips.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you go to touch a button and it falls off the overhead. You're like, oops.
Or that.
Because it happens. Trust me, it happens.
That's great. Oh, guys, well, I tell you what, I've got to wrap up here by 9 o'clock Mountain Time because we have a sick dog upstairs and my wife needs a break. I don't know what happened to our little Lulu, but it's almost like she's got burns on her side. Fur's missing. She took her to the vet. My wife came home in tears. So our little mini doxy Lulu is having an issue. And I see Ruby behind you, Mike, and I'll tell you, our hearts go out to our doggies, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, she scares me. I'll tell you.
Yeah,
it's just it's they're family members. You know, they're animals, but at the end of the day, they are family. You know.
Yeah, we call.
I do want to add one thing real quick. I don't want to get away from the dog. Maybe I'll get your mind off the doggy being hurtful right now.
Aw, thanks.
But last time we had one of these podcasts or streams or whatever it is you want to call it, we were all so excited about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I will tell you right now, if I could go and choke Asobo and Microsoft CEOs right now, I would.
In Fortnite.
In
Fortnite.
Because
in Fortnite.
What do they always say? The politicians supposedly what's the word they use?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I would probably go and choke somebody. But let's allegedly. So I'm not threatening nobody. Right? It's a joke. But I would allegedly. because I am very much let down by Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Now, hopefully, 6 months, 12 months from now, it'll be a different story. But as of right now, I am thoroughly let down. There was another reason why I kind of had enough of Flight Sim, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was right after 2024 released. It just let me down, dude. I just took, I was like, I need to take a break. This is bullshit. Sorry, excuse my French. And I was off the air for a couple of months, and then as new things started coming back in, such as the PNG Freighter and the Wing stuff, I kind of got back into the mix. I'm like, okay, cool. Now we got some stuff to be excited about, because let's face it, whenever the excitement stops, that's when I was, like I said, I was awful. I was very awful about 2024, considering they've already had the experience for the past 6-7 years developing 2020, right? Because let's face it, they didn't just develop 2020 in the last 4 years. It's been a much longer process than that, right? So they got all that experience built up in the last 6 to 7 years, and that all went out the window, in my opinion, because they thoroughly messed up 2024. Again, I give them the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, I have it. I still have it installed. Every once in a while, I'll get back into it, crossing my fingers. But I always have some type of issue, whether it's FPS related, or pop-in textures, or the servers are down, or still don't have access to Marketplace Store, or you name it, right? There's always some type of an issue. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on 2024. I just wanted to throw it out there. Yes, I was hopeful. I was spicing it up. I wanted it to be good. And a lot of the people that know me know that I wanted it to be good. And I will be the first one to tell you, I'm sorry. If you got the wrong idea for me, I am sorry. I wasn't saying it was good. I was just saying I wanted it to be good.
Man, outside of career mode, I've had no issues.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
it's been phenomenal for me.
I
keep it a
can't do
little
it.
simple though. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I can't.
it
I can't
just
do
seems like a lot of people's experience varies from like one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yeah, it's
Speaking
entirely
of-
opposite for me.
Yeah.
Outside of career mode, I have nothing but issues.
You said it. You're excited about 2024. The next topic we're doing here should be about the iBuild A350. That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds
Well,
good.
Better when we get our hands on it.
Maybe we should
We'll
wait
get
until it
another-
comes out, huh?
We
Yeah.
get another teaser. That's what we'll get.
Yeah. Usually, see, it's surprising, because usually indie builds does not do it that way. They don't just tease you and tease you and tease you. Usually it's a couple of teasers, then it goes out to some content creators, and then a week later it's out, right? So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of surprising, in my opinion, that we still don't have the indie build 350.
Well,
Maybe
I can
they're
already tell you what I can, in my personal opinion, my assumption as why this happened is because
What's the
it was for
2020 thing?
2020, and then they said it's going to be exclusively for 2024, and then 24's release was a disaster, so they went back and said, okay, well, we're going to do it for both now. So I think that's what has made it like so delayed, and why they keep sending out so many teaser videos, because I think they're just trying to keep the hype up from the delay of the aircraft, because we were supposed to have it by the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken, right? That was the initial release date, but now it's Q1 2025. So
I feel like
Yeah,
we're gonna get let
again,
down.
it's-
There's 320 and 321.
Oh, it's a disaster, dude. The one on 2024?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
I
a-
mean, even in the 2020, the Neo in 2020, terrible.
Yeah,
It was like a
horrible,
vacuum
horrible.
cleaner.
And you have a lot of people, and you have a lot of people that are like, well, those were not indie builds planes. Yes, they are.
Mhm.
Microsoft literally told indie builds, make this plane, right? And I guess some excuse that some people are trying to say is, well, they didn't make the plane for indie builds, they made it for Microsoft. It doesn't freaking matter, right? It's still, your name is still attached to the product, right? Only because you made it for a Sobel, it doesn't mean
Now,
you
wait a
just
minute.
deliver crap, right?
Freeware versus payware. Hopefully, the
Yeah.
payware makes
Yeah.
them make it better. But dude, I mean, like rotate law
Right.
into normal
Yeah.
law. Oh my god.
And that's
Just
kind of
close
where
it
I
down.
put that's where I put my 2 cents in. Is like, in my personal opinion, the default indie builds aircrafts that come with the simulator, I think, are more geared towards the Xbox users, and I don't think they're up to our standards because of that. And you think of the 350 coming out as a payware aircraft, that I assume between 60 and 70 US dollars is probably going to be the price point for both, because they're doing 2 variants, if I'm not mistaken, right? They're doing the 900 and 1000. So, but you look at the A300 as a payware indie builds product, like a third party payware indie builds product that doesn't come default. And the quality between the two are night and day. The 330 kind of sits in between for me, because the 330 is decent on one hand, but has a lot of issues on the other hand. I've flown it a few times and it's okay, but it's nowhere near the quality that we're expecting the 350 to be. And I think the 350 will knock the 300 out of the park just based off of the previews that we've seen. But again, we saw good previews on their 330, and the 330 is where it's at now. So, but again, I think the 20 and the 21 are the way they are simply because those are geared towards the Xbox.
Look, if you, there's a lot of people, see, even in the chat, they're like, well, the 320 Neo was a freeware. That's why it's garbage. Still, it's made by indie builds. You expect good stuff from indie builds. It doesn't matter whether it's free or not. Because if you tell me, the reason why it's garbage is because it's free, I will tell you, well, fly-by-wire is free.
Yeah.
And that's a much better product than the indie builds. What does that tell you? So, miss me with the nonsense. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, guys, this has been a good one tonight. It's a great way to start out the first one of the year, and I appreciate you all being here. And Wrong Way Simulation, it's great to welcome you to the group. We'll hope to be able to have you in here with us some more. EJ couldn't make it tonight. Major Mark, I'm going to let you go first here, buddy, and we'll go around the horn and see what's happening with everybody, and CST can start taking those pre-orders, and we'll wrap up the night.
Well, like I said, 2025 is here. Hopefully, I can get to streaming a little more often now that I'm kind of comfortable in the position I am. Wing, I'm terribly sorry. This is my old CDU FMC. It is officially going into the trash right now.
Oh my gosh!
Like
that
thing was probably a lot more expensive than the Wing.
I'm gonna tell you, I spent about $500 on that, and it just went into the trash. It was $500 hat weight. It just went into the trash. I bought that back in like 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, piece of crap. I'm not gonna say the other word, but piece of crap. Wing. Please send me my products expeditiously. I pay good money for them, and I am looking forward to future Wing products in the future. That's all I got.
Mark, you're a delight, and it's great to have you here tonight. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you checking in and being part of the group tonight. CST, man, it's so good to have you back on board. So good to see your face in the place and to see some more streams coming out. I've been periodically putting up your link for your review on the McDo and the Boeing FMC and all that. So hopefully we'll get some more views on that for you tonight. And thanks for being here. What you got coming up? What's going on in CST's world here for a new year?
Well, there's going to be a little bit of changing with the scheduling and stuff. So I'm gonna get rid of the schedule. I'm just going to stream whenever I feel like streaming because having a schedule, which I have no problem in maintaining a schedule, because as a lot of you know, I'm retired, and if I'm not doing anything for the house, around the house, or just going out to pick up my daughter or whatever it is that I'm doing, riding my motorcycle, I'm at home. So.
Or driving a Tesla.
Or driving a Tesla, whatever. But if there's no reason why I wouldn't be able to maintain a schedule. I just the schedule thing for me, and I don't even know if it's so much a schedule. Really, I think having a schedule is probably a good thing. It's just I don't want it. I don't want to be bound to anything because it's not my job. So I don't want to make it a job. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
If you want to make YouTube a job, then I highly suggest you get yourself a schedule and start streaming every day or whatever. If you want to go that route. The other thing I want to do, sorry, I'm still getting over this damn sickness, is open up a FundMe to buy Captain Jack a new microphone because he's been cutting out all night. So go find me for Captain Jack podcast mic.
Yeah,
we'll
I'll
figure
work
something
on
out
that.
here.
I'll work on that.
No, but yeah, it's I'll be streaming. The other thing that I want to do too is I want to bring different stuff to the channel, other games, right? I'm not Captain CST Gaming. I'm CST Gaming, right? So my channel was born for that purpose, to play different games, have fun. If you see back, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whenever I started streaming and uploading content, I've done everything from racing, sport games, simulation games, flight simming in the mix, track driving, all sorts of things. Farming simulator. I used to do so much more, and the fact that I got into flight simming a lot more than anything else, and all I was doing was flight simming. I think that's one of the things that can get me upset at times. So, like I said, I want to do other stuff because, like I said, I do it to have fun. I don't do it because I'm a flight simmer. I'm a gamer. I like to play games, so I want to bring some different stuff to the mix. I don't know. I think from today on, our good friend Blake will be known as Wrong Wave. And yeah, that's all I got, man.
All right.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. Great to have you back, buddy. I'll work on this microphone cut now. Let's see, Al's. We'll go to wrong way after you then, and we'll let wrong side. Blake, I am so sorry. I don't know why I've got that seeming in a loop here. Al's, what you got, buddy? It's great to see you, man. You just continue to put out such good work. I appreciate getting to watch you as often as we do. What you got coming up, man?
Appreciate it. Well, first, I'd just like to say CST has made it to the land of do it when you want to do it. There's been like 3 people in this chat so far that said, Owls, I literally could look at it right now. When are you better be streaming tomorrow? So, yeah. I probably will be streaming tomorrow, doing something in the 730 again. Checking out the sound pack. I wanted to fly the 700.
Bangladesh Airlines, maybe?
No. I wanted to fly the 700. The 700 so we could hear the engines a little bit louder and all that. But yeah, just every now and then, whenever I feel like it throughout the week, just dropping in a stream here and there. I've also been trying to go flying in the real world and record, but Mother Nature is saying otherwise. So
yeah.
Also does not stream flight simulation, just so you guys know. He streams ground
delays.
operation.
Ground operations
Yes.
with the dog. Pet the dog before takeoff.
Yes, indeed. Indubitably.
Oh, that's great.
Indubitably. Yeah.
Well, Al's, again, too, congratulations on all the subscribers. 35.8K. Good Lord, man. That is just great. That is just great. So glad to have you here as always, and have a great evening. And thanks for being here. It's late on the East Coast for you. And wrong side, Blake, again, sorry for my screwing up of the name there, but anyway, it's wonderful to have you here. Wonderful to have you as part of the group, and what's coming up in your world and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, the biggest change for me, I got a new schedule this year. Last year I worked 4 on, 4 off, working 2 in the afternoon to midnight. Now I am on the overnight, so I go into work at 7:30 at night, work till 5:30 in the morning. So the game plan is to try to increase my streams, which I'll never have a schedule. To y'all's point, I think I've always streamed when I want to stream.
Yep.
And when work and my old lady allows. But the plan is try to start waking my ass up before going to work. I'm a princess. I need a lot of sleep. But try to get up before going to work to have short streams, quick little 40-minute hops, something like that, just to get a little more content out there, kind of hang out a little bit more versus just getting more into streams in on the weekend. So aside from that, that's the biggest change coming up for 2025. Other than that, no real change. I'm going to keep hammering down on the Airbus. Everybody knows I love my Airbus flying. Try to scrape the rust off on my Cali Crew 7.3 SOPs. We started that today. Probably start doing maybe some multi-cockpit stuff with some of my Cali Crew colleagues, and because I tell you, it's such a big difference going from running a checklist by yourself and running SOPs by yourself to a multi-crew environment. But other than that, everything else is going to remain pretty much the same. I'm just going to stream whenever I can and go to work every day.
Yep. You and me both. Well, it's again a pleasure and a privilege to have you here, Mike. Thanks for inviting him and getting us set up here with Wrong Side Simulations. And we appreciate you being here, Blake. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
You bet. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I may have to take the next week, maybe even 2 off with our little sick doggy. We'll see. The nights that I stream, my wife works, so I'm going to have to pay attention to a doggy. I'll work on my microphone, and also I'm not liking the way this camera looks. This camera just may have to go the way of the other controller there, like Major Mark tossed. So anyway, with that, usually Monday and Wednesday nights for me. Thanks for everybody who has been in the chat tonight. A lot of great folks in there. We've had a wholesome total of, Mike, looks like about 172 views so far, so that's great.
Yep.
And appreciate it, guys. Remember, Captain Jack loves every one of your shows, and we'll see you in the next one. Watch for it. And Mike, we'll let you wrap us up and take us out here as usual.
Well,
thanks for being
ladies and
here,
gentlemen.
guys.
Again, a huge, massive thank you to Blake Wrong Side Simulations. Please make sure you head over to his.
Wrong way.
Please make sure you head over to his YouTube channel, drop him a sub. Make sure you check out his content, drop a like, and turn that notification bell so you're notified of when he is going live. Also, fantastic content, even when he's crashing out at his his equipment for not working.
Just want to say you okay. I'm not gonna lie, it is me. It's messed up, but you are on the top 5 clip list of my clips that I have saved. That's what I want to say.
I keep it very real.
Amazing.
Yeah. If you if you look up the definition of authentic content in the Urban Dictionary, it's Blake's face. Genuinely.
Yeah, we'll go from like real world. Here's how to plan a flight sim flight like a real flight dispatcher to
we're inverted.
every cuss word in the dictionary.
Bro, that one clip of you
Flipping upside down.
I think I played that. Didn't I play that during our thing?
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, and then it was that clip in the 787 where it was just starting to barrel roll, and he was like, we're inverted."
If we were to play that clip for Blake that I played on my thing, Captain Jack will probably not do another podcast ever again.
Probably not. There was no decorum that day.
Nah, but yeah, it's a huge shout out to you, man. I appreciate you joining in. Hopefully to have you on another future one in the near, not so distant future. And to that note, guys, sorry, I can't speak English right now. Jesus. To that note, Wrong Side and I have been discussing, because as you guys know, I have launched the passenger point of view videos on my channel where I've done nothing but just passenger views within the sim and how it is to be a quote unquote passenger in the simulator. And Blake and I have been talking about potentially doing a co-stream to where one of us is flying the aircraft and the other one is sitting in the back as a passenger, and doing that vice versa. So we can get both point of views on a live stream. So I think that's something we're going to try and get set up. I don't know when that's going to happen or how it's going to happen due to our schedules being polar opposite of each other. But we'll get it figured out, and hopefully we can do that. As for me, guys, obviously tonight was a telling stream for y'all. Y'all understand I'm having some technical issues with the computer, so I think the computer's going to have to go see the doctor here in a minute before it gets thrown out of a freaking window. I do apologize to those that were in the chat with me tonight watching the stream. PC did crash, stream crashed, camera crashed, OBS crashed, everything crashed. So unfortunately, that stream was cut short, and I couldn't get the full podcast on my stream either, just due to the technical issue. So I do apologize for that. Hopefully, I can get that sorted out for you guys. Content is going to be kind of minuscule over the next week because I am taking a last-minute trip to Illinois for my mother-in-law's wedding on Tuesday. Yeah, Owls, I'll be on a Neo before you do. That's crazy. So when I get back from that trip, I will hopefully have the computer back from the shop, and we will be running on however many cylinders this thing is misfiring right now. So that's it for me.
And no, go ahead. Keep going. We're waiting for the punchline.
Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah, we were ready. We're ready.
I'm waiting, dude.
We appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you guys do smash down the thumbs up button for this. So we will hopefully be getting another podcast out within the next 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully, we'll see. and hopefully have another special guest on, and we'll be going from there. So God bless each and every one of you. Appreciate you guys being here, and we will see you all on the next one from the Virtual Flight Deck, guys.
Flight Deck.
We will see you.
See you.